Thanks, Jimmy, and thanks, Dan, for presenting that. That was epic. It's really good to see what we can actually do in the next year or so, and doing all that kind of stuff. And just to give you a bit of background of, I guess, what I do. Well, I have been working with Jimmy for a little while now, and my business wasn't where it is today unless some of the support that Dan and Jimmy has helped me over the years. And what I wanted to present on this morning is definitely on automation, because I'm about to have a baby next Monday. I'm sitting up here in Lake Macquarie at the moment, just waiting for that to happen. And if it wasn't for systems and automations in place, I probably would have been stressing my head out, thinking that things would not be going as well as I possibly could in the gym and all that kind of stuff. So what I want to do, I just want to share my screen, Jimmy, if that's okay.
Yep, that's all cool, bro. You'll be able
so
to.
good. All right,
Yep.
Beautiful. All right, let me do this. So I'll just give you a little bit of background of where I came from, so you understand how my mind sort of works. Because I'm very logical like Dan, right? So let me just share this. Slideshow. Okay. My background. I was 12 years as a golf professional in my 20s. So that's where I started from. I was coaching and playing golf professionally for about 12 years. I was assistant coach at Willow Golf Course for a little while. I was a head coach at MacArthur Grange for a little while as well too, for a few years. I've worked in sales and corporate recruitment. So I love looking at sales and looking at systems. And I also owned 6 spread runs in my career. I was a personal trainer for about 5 years, and then currently an owner of Tribe Rouse Hill. So I started the gym about 2 years ago, and that's kind of where I jumped into the whole gym ownership period. And this is where I started from. I started with 17 members. I took it over from another owner, and in the last 2 years or so, almost 2 years now, I've got about 165 members. Currently, after COVID, we've doubled our numbers, and first 12 months was an absolute grind, as most of you guys probably understand or can probably relate to. It's just phone calls, grinding that out, and just making things happen. And I don't know what systems you guys may be doing. Maybe you could just put in the chat for me, guys. Let me just do this. Maybe put in the chat, guys. Just give me a bit of an idea where you're at with your studio, numbers-wise, and what systems you may be making when it comes to putting leads in the system. That'll give me a bit of understanding. Cool, beautiful. All right, anyone else? Do you guys use Excels, or do you guys use pen and paper? Good stuff. All right, cool. All right, this is I guess for myself, a typical day. You guys may be able to relate. Let me just minimize this. Typical day. We do classes, we'll make phone calls, I check for leads, I enter leads in Excel sheet. I had an Excel sheet when I first started the studio. I enter everything manually. I call the leads. I do the messaging the leads, following them up, catching up where they're at, email them, following them up as well too. And I run more classes and repeat the whole same process. Now, when I on board someone, I send them welcome messages. Also send reminder messages for appointments, weekly follow-up messages, weekly content emails for the trials, like nutrition tips to how to process through. I reply to emails about message inquiries, sending offers to lost leads, running more classes, and repeat the whole process. Now, is anyone in here can relate to that? Like, is that a very typical day of a fitness studio or something that you do? Yep, that's kind of pretty much what we do, right? We do this on repeat every single day. Like we do all these over and over again. And here's the interesting part, I guess, I broke it down, right? So I broke it down into what I was doing in all of these tasks into hours. I'm going to just present very basic on what most people tend to do, about 3 hours. I do about 8 classes in my studio at the moment, but most people do about 3 to 5 hours in doing classes. If you're running on your own studio or you're running it with another person, 3 hours a day, it may take you about an hour to run and make the calls, 10 minutes to check your leads, enter the leads, take about 10 minutes into the Excel sheet. Very manual work. You call the leads, every lead takes about 15 seconds to dial. Okay, so if you're doing 4 dials, it's about four dials per every minute. So if you've got like a 10-15 leads you're following up, it could be anything between 10 minutes to up to half an hour if you're having a conversation with them, emailing them, following them up, and just repeat the whole process. And when I'm onboarding someone, I'll usually send a message before they come in, welcome them, remind them about appointments. I usually do it twice before they come in. Weekly follow-up with messages, weekly content. I'll send them about what's going on in the gym and what to expect when they're coming up. Send them emails and inquiries. And then send an off. And every once a month, we also do an offer to lost leads. And again, we put it on the wheel, just repeat the whole process. And here's the reality, guys. It's this. We are spending probably a good amount of time on nurturing leads and chasing after and growing our business. And that's exactly what I was doing for the first 12 months. I do this over and over and over again. I was on my own at the start, running a few classes and spending a lot of my time just doing that same process over and over again. And I guess most of you guys can probably relate. If you're, I don't know where you are in your business, but if you're watching this later down the track, I'm sure you can relate to this. Running classes, making phone calls. And this is what I came down to. I was spending about 3 hours actually making money doing my classes. That's where I believe I'm making the money, because that's where I can get some money. I'm spending 2 to 3 hours hoping to make money. That's chasing after money, chasing after the leads, chasing after emails, marketing. Let me put a disclaimer out here. I'm not saying you shouldn't do any of that, because for you to grow a fitness business, you need to make sure you do all those things. But here's where I start to realize that if I continue to do this, I will hit a bottleneck, which I did. The more I grew, the more there was a demand on my time, because the more clients I need to service, more leads coming in, more phone calls I need to make, more members I need to nurture, more leads to follow up, more people, more time I spent on all the tasks I was doing manually, entering leads, entering notes, emailing them, sending content out there. And the more people I have in the studio, I also have to run more classes. That means I've got to increase my time in the classes, but at the same time, I'll also increase my time on nurturing them. I spend a lot of time collecting data, entering notes into Excel, just making sure I can maintain them, keeping up to track, and all kind of stuff. And also hit a bottleneck. I hit a bottleneck in my business where the best time to call were also the best time to do classes. So they got to a point where I was making less calls because I had to run more classes. So obviously I had to put my staff on. That means I can decrease my profits. But at the same time, it also allowed me to move things forward. But these are some of the bottlenecks I came into when I was growing my business. So I guess this is where I come to where I'm today, and the last 6 to 12 months. I just want to say something that what Dan presented early on about the conversion rate. That is absolutely key, and which I'll show you in a minute of my stats. That 30% conversion rate and then knowing my numbers is absolutely key for me to understand what I needed to do and what I needed to put aside time for that was important. So it's my typical day at the moment in the studio with assistant automations, which I'll explain to you in a minute. I still run my classes. I don't do it at the moment. I've got coaches running it at the moment, but I was running my classes. But I got to a point where I was taking scheduled calls. So what happens is that now I don't typically chase my phone numbers or chase my leads that are coming through, because every lead that comes through gets automatically populated into a CRM or customer relation management system, gets automatically a follow-up prompts of what they've opted into, what ads they've opted into, what program the app opted into, and what it's about. And we also prompt them to book a phone call with us to speak to us at a time that suits them. It's all coming from the perspective that we want to speak to you at a time that suits you. Then it gets automatically sent some social proof messages, some of the members' videos, some of the testimonials, images of the transformations, and anything like that. It gets automatically sent to them in the sequence. Also gets emailed, sent into blogs about what to read, what to expect, what are some of the tips they can have. They can download meal plans, they can download workouts. Also can send them automatically contents and value add messages. Again, what my philosophy around this is that I want to give them as much content, as much value as I possibly can before they come to speak to me. I want to give them as much knowledge of who we are, what we're about, our vision, our mission, and so on. Because in my business, I guess it's all about education, involvement, and empowerment. So I want to make sure I get a lot of those things out in front of them before they jump on the phone call. So when I onboard them, it also automatically sends a welcome message, tell them what to do next. At the moment, in the back end of the system, I have got things like a video showing them what they where we are, what to do in the class, how to download the app, where to download the app. It's a whole lot of video content I've already put together that welcomes them. There's a video about the workout that's upcoming, what they're about as well too. An auto reminder when I have an appointment. I send 2 messages out there, again, reminding them for the appointment and the location. There's a video in the message of how to get to where we are, and also a video of one of my trainers welcoming them. And then there's a weekly follow-up message of those leads in the funnel of when they do start in the radio into the program. And every week there's a content email that goes out to the trials, giving them tips on nutrition, mindsets, and what some of the things they can do away from the gym. It's all in the back end. And again, how many of you guys here spent lots of time when you were speaking to leads, talking to people and answering the same thing over and over again? Where are you? How much it costs? Where do you have to go? Just put in a comment, do you do that? Like, you know, I get that all the time. Where are you located? How many classes do you have? What you're about? You know, that is something that I've built in the front end on the automation as well, to answer all of that up front. I tell them where we are, what we're about, location, timetable, all those things are built in before they arrive, because I know they're going to ask them, because I spend a lot of my time before emailing the same things over and over and over again. And it's all built into the automations that tells them where we are and what we're about, showing them our classes, even have videos of my trainer explaining what the classes are on the front end. And then I also send an offer to our leads automatically every single month. Again, it's all automatic. So this is kind of where we are now. This is how I run a typical day. So I still got all those things in red, but all the things in red at the moment are automated. I run my classes with my coaches, and I run more classes, and I repeat it. None of these things I'm spending time on, because they've all been set up in the system, in the automations, or put into place, because I think that we need to spend a lot of time making sure that we focus on the things that matters the most, which is retention, and also making sure we're spending time with our clients and freeing our brain power to make sure and do the things that we need to do to create more income. Oops. And if you look at what I'm doing here, this is what happens in my typical day in the studio. Give me a second. I still take calls. Oops. I still take my calls. In fact, all the calls I have now are all scheduled. I have a disclaimer out here. I still make phone calls. I do a bit of a hybrid system. I do take mostly scheduled calls. I can they're automatically book in, because they get a reminder every single day. As some of you guys may know, what typically happens as a student owner, you end up getting a lead, and most of us probably don't follow enough. I mean, I'll guilty of that when I first started the business. I'll probably only follow them once every 2 days. But now with the automatic system, they get reminders every day on email, every day with a message, and every day with the content. So they've got 3 touch points on a daily basis in the first week that they get all those things. And until they book a phone call, I'll spend about maybe an hour taking phone calls. My booking system is about 15 minutes per phone call, as a bit of a triage or a bit of a initial get to know you process, and then they get booked into a consult in the studio with one of my trainers. It's pretty much what Dan has presented before, exactly what we're doing. And every single thing here I was spoken to you about, all the follow-ups, all the social proof, all the emails, all the answering to what they want to do before they come to the class timetables, what the timetables are about. All those things now takes none of my time. Every single of those tasks I was mentioning before, which some of you guys may or may not be doing, now takes no time whatsoever, because it is all automated. It's all done automatically in the background. It reminds them about the appointments, reminds them where to go, reminds them what to do, reminds them about, be here 10 minutes early, reminds them about how to download the app, how to book into classes, and also auto responds to common questions that we automatically, we answer all the time, like our location, like what I mentioned before. So it also allows me to run one more class. I'll also put more classes in, which means that I got more potential for income and more potential for people to be part of part of the team and so on. So this is kind of what I've looked at when I look at automations, is that I now can spend an extra hour running a class making more money. And I now only make 1 or 2 hours making sales calls, and I'm spending zero time of my time nurturing and chasing leads. So I've gone from 2 to 3 hours hoping to make money because I'm nurturing them, sending them content, all that kind of stuff, down to 1 or 2 hours of my time actually making sales, because now I am looking at spending time speaking to people who actually want to be on the phone call, rather than looking at, spending time just chasing them. And what I want to do is just give you some of my stats here, if I can get this to work. Okay. Can you guys see that? Yeah? This is my actual stats for the last 3 months, guys. This is my actual stats for the last 3 months, where you can see, like what Dan has presented early on, I get about 100 leads per month, 300 leads in the last 3 months. I got 179, also 60% of those people were self-scheduled into a book phone call, which then and about 154 of those people attended. Just give you a little bit of clarification, once they don't attend, they also get automatic reminders of to book another phone call, because it gets tagged and gets automatically sent to them about a reminder. And out of those attended phone calls, we convert 98 paid trials into our session. And out of that 98%, with a pretty high conversion rate, we've got 96 members being won over the last 3 months. So this is all done in an automatic system, where I've actually been able to do a lot of that and have saved a bunch of time not actually doing any of those things, like nurturing, chasing them up, and because I'm now talking to people who actually want to talk to me, and I've also given a lot of content up front before they actually get onto the phone call. They already know what we're about. We're not trying to sell them on things. So you'll find that most of the time, most people who do attend those phone calls will convert pretty high, and they also will be willing to come into a booked consult, as well as having things like a paid trial before they come in. Yes, Brad, I do. So I'm constantly tweaking my sales pipeline. So what I do is I enter $1 collected or the value of a paid trial into that particular offer. So that it gives you an idea of when I collected these paid trials, this is what I actually do make on upfront. So when I actually make these paid trials here, they're the dollar values I actually make being paid for those sessions. So yeah, and like it all depends on what you're doing in your business. You can put any value into the system to give you an idea how much money you collected over that period. So that's kind of what I do here. And going back to our slides, this is what the result of using automation. You can add an additional class in a day. You can make $100 a day. You can save yourself a good hour, or saving a staff making those phone calls, or it's $20, $5 or $50 a day. You could be potentially saving. And if you look at what really in terms of what assistant automation can do for you in the long run, that's an extra $24,000 you can make in a year, because you can do one extra class. And that's an extra saving of $6,000 to $12,000 a year, because of your time or staff that you have. And that's a magic formula for you to make the extra money and saving more time, because now you can, what I found was I was able to do is I was able to spend a lot more time focusing on the things that matter the most, which were things like, retention, strategies, putting systems in place, training staff. It frees you out so much of your brain power to be able to do the things that matters the most as a business owner, and also allows you to do a lot of things that can help you grow the business. I guess this is my final point of what comes to automation assistance for me, is that you want to be able to work smarter and not harder. You need to use the system, the technology, to give you the lifestyles and the time that you want. And at the same time, you want to focus, like I said before, on the time that makes you money. Things like making sales calls that with people that actually talks to you and want to buy something from you is the task that you want to spend more time on, not spending hours and hours entering notes and sending messages, chasing them up, and all those other things. You know, because those tasks will limit your earning potential. I've based on this on just very early on in the business, where I'm ready to scale up by spending more time and more money on ads and creating more leads. Because with this system, I know that I can increase my leads to flow up to 200, and I know I can take up to 15 to 30 phone calls, scheduled phone calls a week, and I can scale the business up very, very quickly to actually scale the business quickly, because you'll hit a bottleneck if you're doing all the phone calls, all the follow-ups by yourself. Yes, Cody, that's actually really good point there, because what I found early on with automations, I was just setting out based on a time delay on messages. So what I actually found was helpful was that when I was sending reminder messages, I actually started timing at a certain time in the morning, such as like a 7:40 in the morning, 7:37 in the morning, or 12:58, 1:31, or like 6:27 time frames, where they're typically times that people are just be able to go to work, or after at a lunch break, or after the work. So they will answer to a message. I found that has made a big difference in the response rate in actually booking into something. And that just helped a lot, because I think that's definitely thing. And look, the copy and timing really is all kind of very conversational. Hey, this is such and such. This is Jackson from Tribe. I just got your message to that you're interested in something. More than happy to talk to you. And would you like to schedule a call? So make the messages very much you. That's my best tip for you. Like, making sure that you're using a language that is like how you would text somebody, and you put that into a template, and that just continues to move forward. The Hoff, we're actually building out a system which is go ahead level. We're actually doing something Calendly. You can use Schedule Ones, you can use Calendly. Jimmy and Dan and I will probably present on something on this down the track, because we're actually in the process of putting something together that is going to build a lot of these things out, where you do automatic bookings. So definitely Calendly. Again, it's another software you can use, and it is insane what you can do with some of the systems that we have in place. Where you're keeping everything in one place, keeping all the automations in one place. Yeah, that Lucy chat. That is, guys. This is one thing, guys. When you want to build out an automation, you really want to make sure you sit down for an hour or two and do the whole flow out in one go. Because take it from me, I've made many mistakes in my past when I'm building automations. Is that I have an idea, I start building it out, and I start going back and forth. And you really want to sit down using a chart, building out everything from lead to onboarding and what happens in the onboarding process. It is a pretty, I don't have my chart in front of me at the moment, but if I show you my chart, it's pretty intense, where it goes everything from multiple triggers, multiple emails, multiple SMSs, emails, sent into various different websites and social proof content, video messages, and voicemail drops. We do a voicemail drop in after a week that actually automatic drops into the voicemail. It calls our staff. Brad, I think you pointed out last week, it calls our staff at a certain time. So there's a whole bunch of stuff you can do with automation. But what I will say is this: it is just a tool. It is a tool that will save you a bunch of time and allows you to scale up very quickly. I still make phone calls. If I have a down week or have a down time, I still do make phone calls, and I still follow people up to make sure that they are being chased if I feel that they do need to. But here's my experience. If someone have not responded to you with two text messages a day, or emails, or anything like that, during those off-peak times, my experience has been that most people who do actually take a phone call are not your clients. They don't tend to. I might have a 10% conversion rate of those people I followed up when I'm making phone calls. I'd rather have the philosophy that I want to give them the time and the freedom to speak to me when they want to. After I presented a lot of content and information to them to make sure they are wanting to speak to me, because it is very draining when you have to sit there and call 30 leads a day. I know some of you guys have done it. You make multi-phone calls over and over again. It is very draining on your energy. And when you speak to people who don't want to speak to you, it's also very draining. It's much more fun when you talk to people who want to speak to you at a time that